I think most of us dream of becoming a millionaire at some point, but what does a real millionaire actually look like? In this explainer, we're jumping into the legendary book, The Millionaire Next Door, to uncover the surprising and honestly kind of mind-blowing secrets of how regular people build some serious wealth.
Okay, quick, do a little thought experiment with me. I say the word millionaire. What's the very first image that pops into your head? Is it a fancy sports car, a sprawling mansion, maybe a yacht? That's the picture we always see in movies and all over social media, right? But is that the real story?
Well, according to decades of research from the book's authors, that popular image, it's pretty much a myth. They spent years interviewing America's wealthy, and what they found was that the real millionaire isn't the person you see spending all the money. It's the person you don't see who's quietly keeping it. What they found just completely flips the script on everything we think we know about being rich.
80%. Yeah, 80%. That's the number that kind of changes everything. It's the percentage of America's millionaires who are first generation. They didn't get it from their parents, they didn't win the lottery, they built it from the ground up themselves, usually in a single generation. So the big question is, how'd they do it?
Okay, so to really get into their methods, we gotta start by redefining what wealth even means. The book brings up this really cool idea, the prodigious accumulator of wealth, or PA for short. Let's dig in and see if you might just be one.
Okay, this right here, this is probably the single most important idea in the whole book. Wealth isn't about how big your paycheck is or the fancy stuff you own. You could have a super high-income doctor who spends every last dime, they're not wealthy. True wealth is your net worth, what you own minus what you owe. It's all about the money that's working for you, not the money that's already out the door.
All right, so if being wealthy is really about accumulating, not spending, how are you doing? How do you even measure that? Well, luckily, the authors came up with a super simple formula you can use to figure out your expected net worth based on your age and your income.
So go ahead and grab a calculator, or you can probably just do this in your head. Take your age, multiply that by your annual pre-tax household income, so from all sources, and then just divide the whole thing by 10. So let's say you're 40 and your household pulls in about $100,000 a year. You take 40, multiply it by 100,000, that's 4 million, then divide by 10. Boom, $400,000. That's your expected net worth. So how does your actual number stack up?
So where did you land? If your actual net worth is double what that formula spit out, congratulations. The book calls you a PA, a prodigious accumulator of wealth. Now, if it's half that number, or even less, well, that's what the book calls a UAW, or an underaccumulator of wealth. And it's probably no surprise that the research found most self-made millionaires are textbook PAs.
And this really gets to the core of it, right? I mean, the researchers found doctors and lawyers, people with huge incomes who are total UAWs. And then you had teachers and firefighters with pretty modest salaries who are absolute PAWs. It's just not about the size of your paycheck. It's all about the discipline you have with your habits. So what are those habits exactly? What's the actual playbook these PAs are using to build their fortunes? And the answer, it's probably not what you're thinking. It's not some crazy, complex investment strategy or some big secret. It all comes down to one simple but really powerful principle. Frugal. I mean, that's it. That's the cornerstone of the Millionaire Next Door. They are absolute masters of playing defense with their money. They care way more about financial independence than they do about showing off a high social status. And here's the real psychological kicker. For them, the real thrill, the real satisfaction, comes from seeing their investments grow, not from the temporary high of buying the flashy new car.
And hey, the numbers don't lie. Just look at this breakdown of the myth versus the reality. Get this, more than half of the millionaires they talked to had never spent more than 30 grand on a car. Can you believe that? Half of them had never paid more than $235 for a watch, and they are 6 times less likely to own a $1,000 suit than someone with a high income but a low net worth. They just don't play the status game.
But see, their frugality isn't just random penny pinching. It is super systematic. These wealthy households are all about these 4 practices. They create a budget, which the book says is like creating an artificial environment of economic scarcity. They track where every single dollar goes. They have clear, long-term goals for their life. And, this is huge, they spend real, actual time planning for it all.
And that last part, the time commitment, that is so key. Just look at this chart. The PAs, the prodigious accumulators, they spend almost double the time every single month on financial planning compared to the UAWs. They're not just earning money, they are actively managing it, and that makes all the difference.
And you know what? This whole mindset, it even extends to how they raise their kids. The book talks about this trap called economic outpatient care. It's basically when wealthy parents give big cash gifts to their adult children, and what sounds like a nice gesture actually ends up propping up a lifestyle their kids can't afford, which basically stops them from ever learning how to handle money themselves. It turns them into UAWs.
So, what do the smart, wealthy parents do instead? Well, they focus on teaching their kids to fish, not just giving them a fish. They pass on those same values of discipline and thrift that they live by. And one of the biggest things they do? They don't even tell their kids they're wealthy. This forces their children to build their own work ethic and their own financial habits from square one, which puts them on the path to becoming paws themselves.
Okay, so we've busted some huge myths. We've pulled back the curtain on the real habits of the wealthy, so let's tie this all together. What does this all mean for your financial life? What's your next move? What's the actual game plan here?
All right, here it is. The roadmap boiled down from all that research. It's about playing great defense with your money, living frugally, way below your means. It's about a huge mindset shift, choosing freedom over status symbols. And it's about playing smart offense, having a plan, investing your time just as wisely as your money, and finding work you actually enjoy and can be great at.
And you know, at the end of the day, it all boils down to your daily habits. Every little choice you make about spending or saving, it's a vote for the kind of future you're going to have. So you got to ask yourself, are the votes you're casting today building real, lasting wealth? Or are they just building the appearance of it? The choice, as they say,